economic impact is also starting to become clear, and most obvious is the effect on tourism. You've got travel restrictions in place, and that means there'll almost certainly be a big impact, particularly on Asian countries heavily reliant on Chinese tourism spending. And while Chinese tourism has been growing in the UK, it's still a very small part, about 2% of the total. The other impact, of course, is on the plumbing of the economic system. China is still the world's factory where most stuff is made, and now many of those factories are being shuttered. We've heard from Apple, for instance. It's yet to work out just how much the impact of coronavirus is going to be after some of the factories that supply its goods were closed, though they're slated to reopen next week. One of Apple's main suppliers, Foxconn, says customers could start to feel the effects if factory closures are extended for longer than that. And you've got H&M, you've got JLR owner Tata, Sony and Nike all saying they could be hit by factory and store closures. And it's also affected Dale Tech, a Yorkshire-based company that makes circuit boards with parts from China. They've had to look for other suppliers to mitigate the impact.
The factory that supplies materials to us was on lockdown. It was in the affected province. We have been able to resource and find alternative materials, but there's been price implications. Dale Tech has taken the view that we will absorb the costs for our customers in the short term. So we're expecting this to be a short-term hiccup.
Does that mean you're likely to see shortages in shops? Certainly not yet. It's a question of retailers working down their stockpiles and looking to source from alternative countries. But there could be a knock-on effect on global growth. Although the Chinese government have pumped nearly $80 billion of liquidity into the system, it's about £60 billion. Barclays reckons slower Chinese growth could drag down global growth from around 3.3% to 3% this year. And it's already had a bearing on the oil price, now down to $55.70 a barrel. That is the lowest it's been since 2018. And it comes at an awkward time for the UK. There were hopes that the economy was going to start bouncing back from weak growth at the end of last year. And this morning, we had a survey of the services sector pointing towards the strongest growth in a year and a half. 53.3, the number on the composite PMI. But economists fear that some of that big bounce back could be threatened by coronavirus, especially if the outbreaks aren't contained and if its spread continues.